arrived at this house in late autumn when the trees had shed their leaves and the ground was covered in decay. The cold wind stirred the remnants of grass, slipping silently through the cracks in the walls. The house had been left to her by a distant aunt she had never known, and from the moment she saw it, an odd feeling washed over her, a mixture of unease and an inexplicable pull. It stood on the outskirts of an abandoned village, surrounded by a black forest where even the birds did not sing. The branches stretched toward the house as if trying to pull it into their embrace, and the air was heavy with the damp scent of rot and age. When Anna stepped inside, a strange sensation enveloped her, as if the house had always known she would come. From the very first day, something was wrong. During the daytime, everything seemed normal old furniture, the scent of dust, wooden floorboards creaking underfoot. But at night, the walls seemed to close in, the air grew thick, and footsteps echoed in the darkness. Sometimes, something tapped against the window, but outside, there was only an endless void. Anna tried to ignore it, blaming exhaustion and stress. She convinced herself it was all in her head, that everything had a logical explanation. But soon, she noticed something unsettling. There were no windows in the house. From the outside, yes, dirty, boarded up, scattered across the walls. But from within, just empty walls, smooth, without any trace of openings, as if someone had erased them, leaving only cold stone slabs. She ran her hands over the walls, searching for even the slightest hint of a frame or glass. But there was nothing, only the chilling surface, as if the house itself refused to let her see the outside world. She tried to leave, threw her belongings into the car, frantically stuffing everything into the trunk. Her hands trembled, her breath came in sharp gasps. She sat behind the wheel, turned the key, the engine roared to life, then choked, as if something had gripped the throat of her car. Anna pressed the gas harder, but the wheels felt as though they had sunk into the ground, refusing to move. Despite her desperate struggle, she looked around. The forest, which had seemed lifeless during the day, now whispered with unseen voices. The wind rustled through the leaves, and in its murmurs, she could hear them calling to her, persuading her, "Stay." She slammed her hands against the wheel, trying to suppress the rising panic. But the more she fought, the more she felt herself becoming part of this place. She began to lose track of time. Day blurred into night, night melted back into day, but it all felt like one long, dark moment. She couldn't sleep. Whenever she closed her eyes, she felt someone watching her from behind. The footsteps grew louder. One night, she woke to the sound of a child's laughter. A boy stood at the foot of her bed, thin, with large, empty eyes. His face was dirty, his frail arms covered in bruises. "You're still here," he whispered. "Who are you?" she rasped. "I was like you, waiting for my chance to leave." Waiting for what? The boy tilted his head slightly, as if listening to something she couldn't hear. "For you to accept it." "Accept what?" He stepped closer. He smelled of earth and dampness, as if he had just crawled out of the ground. His breath was cold like the autumn wind, and his pale skin felt damp, as though it had absorbed the dark moisture of the old house. In his empty eyes, she saw nothing but endless night. "That you're dead." She wanted to laugh, to dismiss it as nonsense, but the words stuck in her throat. And then suddenly, she remembered how, on the day she arrived, her car had failed to brake on the curve. How the metal twisted, how the glass sliced into her skin, how she felt herself falling into darkness, and she realized she had never left this house. The boy gazed at her with quiet sorrow. "Now you'll stay here, like we did." Behind him, something stirred. From the shadows, others emerged, men, women, children. Their faces were pale, their eyes hollow black pits. They moved silently, their presence merging with the darkness. Their lips did not move, yet Anna heard them whispering, calling, their voices seeping directly into her mind. "We have been waiting for you." They surrounded her, cold hands reaching out, and the air grew thick with the scent of damp decay. The house did not just keep them, it fed on them, absorbing every lost soul that had ever tried to escape. And now it had another. The house held them all. Anna screamed, but in this house, no one ever heard screams, only the walls closing in. They surrounded her, cold hands reaching out, and the air grew thick with the scent of damp decay. The house did not just keep them, it fed on them, absorbing every lost soul that had ever tried to escape. And now it had another. The house held them all. Anna screamed, but in this house, no one ever heard screams, only the walls closing in tighter, only the forest whispering, "You are part of this place now, forever." And then, years later, the house stood waiting once more. Autumn gave way to winter, winter turned into spring, and on one gray, rainy day, a car crept through the wet foliage. Behind the wheel sat a young woman, squinting as she studied the strange old building. She stepped out, looked around, listening to the eerie silence where no birds sang, and, suspecting nothing, she took a step toward the porch. The house waited patiently. It always waited. It knew that sooner or later, another soul would cross its threshold, inhale its stale air, and hear the whispering walls. It knew that no one who entered ever truly left.